Hey guys, Editing Joker here, and before we get to whatever video I put this in front of, I just want to remind you guys that we are doing another cash prize giveaway for the 2-year anniversary that is coming up. So the link to the Google form that you can fill out will be in the video description. It will be guess all of the units that are coming out for the 2-year Anni between like the free-to-play and summonable protectors, and then the free-to-play and summonable battle units. The instructions will be on the form. The cash prize right now is up to $500, and all you need to do is guess a few characters' names and what their typings will be. So it's fairly simple, but try and do it, right? Because it's free money, right? So be sure to put your answers in the form that's in the description. Have fun with it. And then once the anniversary is, mostly done, we know all the units, I will reach out to whoever wins. There are some other questions on the form as well that you have to answer in order for me to, pay you and contact you. But hey, this is supposed to be fun, right? I like to do these giveaways. I like to reward, my subscribers for, still being here and still playing the game 2 years in. So yeah, let's have some fun, guys. Link in the video description, but let's get on with, like I said, whatever video I put this in front of. Bye, guys. Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video, and the new Halloween meta, the Wielder of Magic meta, has begun, and with it brought the brand new EX Shinsha, Water Shinsha. So yet again, another water unit. They just cannot stop. But it's our first EX Shinsha, our only the 4th Shinsha in the game after 2 years, which, I mean, is not... there's not a lot of her. And, she is touted as, like, one of the main selling points of this game is that, oh, alternate storyline, Reimer has a daughter. Isis has one unit, and it's a free-to-play unit. Shinsha has 4, one of them is free-to-play. So... I mean, she's not made too much of an appearance, but the units that she does bring are somewhat impactful for most of their teams. And this is the first time that Shinsha is a proper DPS unit as well. The other ones, like, they have the potential to be, but they're more sub-DPSs and supports. This Shinsha is very much a damage unit and meant to be the primary focus of your team. So, like I said, she is water, she is magic, she is attack growth, she's on Wielder of Magic, Hyper Heart, and a Wholehearted Devotion. She uses a water lance, so if you have EX Rain, you can rip it off her and put it on Shinsha. Her ult is a single target water magic for 490%. There is no additional effect, so she is just straight damage. Her first skill increases magic characters' EX ult damage by 50%. So this is double condition. You have to be a magic character for this to work, and you have to have an EX ult. Those things, both of those things need to happen before this even begins to take effect. However, we did learn last night that it does stack on top of normal ult buffs. Because it is a different type of buff, and it's factored in differently, you can put a temporary buff from like Megamine on, you can put a permanent buff from, like, Valentine on, or Protector Rimuru, and you can put this EX ult damage on. And you could have a Charm ult effect going on, so you could potentially have 4 different ult effects on the same character all at once, and they would not cancel each other out. So that is quite interesting. Again, it's very, very limited to magic EX units, but there are a few of them, so... she could be used to support them in some way, shape, or form. We don't know how effective that is, but we'll test that out today. And then additionally, she has a base attack buff of 15%, which increases by 2% every time you send an orange orb. So you could potentially, if you have a rewind turn and perfect RNG, you can get up to like 60-something% attack, which is pretty hefty, alongside an extra 50% ult damage on your EX ult. So this is what makes her, the pure damage nuker. She has her own attack buff, which stacks. She's got another support buff right here for herself and other people. Her second skill increases orange orb damage by 100% for 2 turns. So very much like Summer Memories Valentine raised blue orb damage by 100% for 2 turns. That's the same thing, but oranges. And then she also increases orange's protection gauge increase by up to 60% for 2 turns, which is pretty impactful because Oranges really don't give you a lot of anything except alt gauge. And I mean, that's great. You can have alts all day, but if you don't have the points to use it, or you don't have the protection gauge to keep cycling and have like 140 points to use, you're pretty limited. So this is a pretty significant buff. We are going to be running the 40% alt or blue gauge on orange orb charm as well, so we're actually going to be at 100%, which would be pretty nice. Her valor trait, she nerfs blues for one turn. It's meh at best. And then her actual trait, if you had dupes in her, is protection gauge every 2 turns, which is a really good protection trait. Those are some of the best protection trait, or some of the best traits, is giving you protection gauge every so many turns, or whatever turn. So, I mean, if you have dupes, that's good. I sadly had to go to 300 pity, and I didn't pull a single copy of Shinsha or Milim along the way. I only got Shinsha on the 30% fucking ticket, and then I never saw her again, which is really bad. Which is really bad. If you get up to 6 stars, she gets an extra 20% her alt, and then her EX board, she is a self buffer, and she gets extra pierce power with Ranga in a battle slot. So there is quite a bit going for her, so let's just jump in and test her out. Alright, we're going to go into EX3 of Shinsha and Milim's Tempered Edge. We're going to bring Milim, just as, you know, this is what I'm running personally right now. There will be, you know, other options available to you, but we've got the free-to-play Ranga for his turn 1 quote-unquote orb change. Now, his orb change you do have to play around with because it only changes wielder of magic orbs, so we have him in a slot where he is guaranteed to have one. We'll bring Shinsha in for the other orb, and that will guarantee us the 2 orb send. Rain is here for her magic buff. Shuna is here because she's a water magic unit, and she has an alt buff that's temporary, which we can show that will stack alongside Shinsha's. Aqua's here in case we have enough points left over to use the Pierce buff, but it's kind of not necessary because Ranga is already giving Pierce power and Milim is already giving Pierce rate, so you're really here to give us alt gauge more than anything else, so we don't have to use her skill. And then obviously Shinsha. So, you know, let's just jump in. Alright, so Ranga's orb change. We gotta take a look at it. Changes wielder of magic force souls ×2 into soul secrets. So, Rain and Shuna are not on wielder of magic. Ranga is, so he has 1 orb here. So in order for us to guarantee that we change this blue, we have to bring in Shinsha for Rain, and that will give us the ability to orb change both into a full hand of oranges. If we had left Rain here, it would have only changed the Ranga orb, and we would have had a 5 orb send, and that would have been completely crap. So we're going to bring you in, and then we'll send this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are all water magics, so we'll get... We don't have Ranga fully, you know, skill leveled up, so we didn't get it, but with the water Shion that we have attached to Aqua, we will get the Protector turn 2. And we have 2 orbs for Shinsha, which isn't great. I would have liked to have more, but that's why we brought Aqua. So let's go ahead and give her some 40% alt gauge, and then we'll buff the orange orbs right here. So they'll do more damage, and they'll give us extra protection gauge alongside Milim, who's going to give us a whole bunch of oranges, and give us another 40% on the protection gauge. And remember, Shinsha's other effect of the skill is that every time we send an orange orb, we get extra attacks. So right now, it starts at base 15, but now we're at 27%. Now we're going to get another, what am I doing? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12% attack right here. So, I mean, it does work well when you're sending full hands of oranges, but even with an extra 100% protection gauge, we don't quite loop on a full send. Right, we're about a 1/6 of it shy, essentially. So it is what it is, but we do have an EX alt for Shinsha now, which is great. So we can kind of go ahead and hold her in the back, and we can do a few things here actually. Oh, it's gonna die. Okay, so we gotta not do a lot of damage now. So let's go ahead and bring in Rain for Aqua. And then we'll go ahead and give Shinsha the magic buff. And then we'll send her away. And then we'll wait for next turn. So I really hope that these don't kill because I really don't want them to. 98 points, we have another protector, which is good. Alright, good. I don't think we're going to kill here. Cool, 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 and cool. Okay, so we have enough points so we can do quite a few things here. So since we already have Pierce from Milim, we don't need to use Aqua, and we're going to use Ranga for his Pierce power buff. It is very much inferior to Aqua, but it's much lower cost, right? 25 points versus 80. So there's no reason to double up on Aqua when we can just get this and then get some other skills in here. So let's get Rain out for Shinsha, because we've already used her magic buff. That's already active. And then we can use the Pierce buff. Now, his does also raise a skill point increase, but we didn't need to use that. And then we'll use the alt buff right here. And just to show you guys, as the example, so now there's water resistance down, which is great. Shinsha's alt buff, 70%. We can see the little icon right here. And then once we use Milim, we'll get, the Pierce rate and everything if we didn't already have it. And then we use this, and we're up to 47% attack from sending orange orbs up to turn 4. If we were to not nuke here and we were to send these, 5 oranges, we would still get an extra 2, 4, 6, 8, 10%, so we'd actually get up to 57%. But, oh well, we're going to nuke here. But, increases magic characters' EX Soul of Combos damage by 50%. So, if we use that now, boom, there's the attack buff, and now there's an additional icon above the alt orb. This icon was for Shuna's alt buff, but now if we click on it and hover over it, they are not grayed out. They are both active at the same time, so we're getting the 70% and the 50% together, which is good, because this is a very cheap skill for an extra 50% alt gauge, and that's why it's so restricted. Right? It's only magic and it's only EX, but if you can hit those two, you can combine this with quite a few other buffs. So Shinsha right now is rocking Guaranteed Pierce, 40% magic attack, 24% Pierce power from Ranga, a 47% attack buff, and a, 120% alt damage right here? Yeah, 120. And then we've got water resistance down, we've got Pierce resistance down, we've got these two, which don't matter. So, I mean, this should be good damage, and it's an EX ult. And I don't want to send any orbs because it's going to kill him, so we'll just nuke. And I think this is the first time we'll see it today. So let's just guarantee that that's true. Alright, so we'll send this. So she's going to do good damage here. She has quite a few buffs going on. Would we do more damage if we had Aqua's skill? I don't actually know, because we wouldn't have enough points to use the alt buff. So this should be pretty good. 638,000 damage in 4 turns. I mean, it's no swimsuit Milim, but it's an orange team, and you can't cycle the oranges, which means you can't have 180 points reliably. So, but I mean, that's pretty good for some low-cost buffs, right? The biggest buff we used was Water Shuna's at 55. So it's fairly easy to use and fairly easy to run. And that's not an insignificant team, right? Yes, you do have two other EX units alongside Shinsha, but you're free. You're old. You've been given away for free a bunch at this point because of the coins, which we're going to get even more coins soon. I mean, this is a fairly good team. Like, we didn't need to do that much damage against that golem, but we did. And it was fairly straightforward. So I think that's a pretty good showing. It does show off how the stacking on the alt damage is done, and how it shows, and how it is both active at the same time. So I think that's pretty good. Let's take her onto a different team now. Alright, next we're going to put her into another damage-focused spot, but we're going to use the Water 2.0 team-ish. But we're going to bring Protector Rimuru, who has a permanent alt buff. He has the alt buff Charm on. We again have Shuna, and we have Shinsha. So we're going to have all 4 of the alt buffs going on at the same time, alongside the water buff here, the water resistance down here, her own attack buff, which granted will not be that high because she needs to send orange orbs, and this is a blue focused team, so there is one drawback. And then because we're not bringing anyone to seal the opposite Shinsha's crit resistance, because normally we'd bring Hinata and she would do that. Instead, we're bringing Swimsuit Shizu to give us extra weakness damage, and that will hopefully offset the crit and the 10% magic buff that we're losing from Xion right here. But, I mean, we know how this team runs. I'm really just doing this to show you the 4 alt buffs at the same time and the damage. So we're going to cut here, we'll come back on the nuke turn or somewhere close, and then we'll go through it. Okay, that only took 1 try, which is really nice, because these Tempered Edges are not set hands, and there's no guarantee that we were going to get an EX alt for Shinsha. So, I mean, getting it first run, really good for my mental health and not having to sit here for like 3 hours trying to get the run to show you guys in the video. But we are up to 160% alt, which will be 180 after we use this. So let's go ahead and start buffing. So let's get the weakness damage. Let's get the temporary alt buff on, and then we'll take Shizu out of here, and we'll bring in Xion, and then we'll add the water attack as well, which is not skill fused, but we're not critting here anyway, so it doesn't matter unless we do it naturally, and that would be kind of unfortunate. But let's get this on. This is the last act, so 160% alt damage now, plus the charm, plus Shuna. So there we go, 180, 78% from the charm, and now we can apply the extra 50% from here. We're still at the 15% attack buff, which isn't great, but we didn't send any oranges, because that's not the point of this team. So that's something that does hold her back on other teams as far as being a DPS is concerned, is that orange metas are so far and few between that no one's ever focused on sending oranges or major converting to oranges. So this attack buff will remain low unless you are on a dedicated orange team for her. But this extra 50%, and now we have all 4 buffs. So 180 plus 70 plus 50 plus 8. So, okay, so math is hard. So that's 250, 308%? Yeah, 308% alt damage right there. That's looking mighty fine. In fact, you know what? I'm going to take a screenshot of that. Saved. Alright. So, 300% alt damage, 15% attack, 60% weakness strike, and a 50% water attack, plus the water attack down and the defense down. This is going to do some pretty good damage. So let's go ahead. I mean, these are not buffs. So you see, this is not an EX alt. So we do not benefit from that EX buff from Shinsha. We get the 180 plus the 70 plus the 8, but we're missing that extra 50 because both Xion and Shuna do not have EX alts and do not have the capability of ever getting an EX alt as far as I'm concerned right now. Maybe in like a year down the future and they give these units like another skill fusion, they buff their alt, I don't know. Something can happen in the future, but not right now. So the only one who's actually benefiting from Shinsha's skill is Shinsha herself. So let's go ahead and send these. I want to send the 1 orb from Shinsha, and then we'll send the actual alt. So 136k, Xion, please don't kill. Don't kill. Alright, 47k, good. 17,000, and then the alt, okay, counter. The alt does 467k, which isn't like, it isn't mind-blowingly awesome, especially on an 8-turn stacking team, but we didn't have that many major buffs going on, right? We had the alt buffs, so yeah, 308% alt is definitely a lot. Don't get me wrong, but like we only had the water attack, we didn't have crits, we didn't have pierce, so we're missing quite a bit of hefty chunks of damage. We didn't have like any alt resistance down, so I mean, I think that's still fairly good. I think that's good for the only EX, well, okay, we have Shizu, never mind, but that's still efficient. It could have been even higher had we had orange orbs, but again, that's not the point of a blue focus stacking team. We don't want to send orange orbs. So we are holding ourselves back a little bit on Shinsha's personal attack buff. But let's go try something else now. Okay, for the last segment of the video, we're going to use her in a support role to an EX unit. So we're running an orange team, which is good because we can then take advantage of Shinsha's orange buff skill, extra damage, extra protection gauge. We've got Fire Shizu for the fire buff, We've got this Fire Shizu for the weakness damage buff. Megumin is our magic EX nuker, so we have to be a magic unit. We have to be an EX alt, so this is going to be, getting that. And then Benimaru is our orb changer and just a little bit extra fire damage. But, I mean, this should work on paper. It's just, can we get the run? And we're going to find out. Alright, let's bring Benimaru in for Shinsha. We don't need to leave her up front any more than we have to, because she doesn't have type advantage. She's going to take a lot of damage. We get the burn on, and then we'll bring Megumin in for Shizu, since she's got another orange coming. The fact that we do have Megumin here also makes it a little bit easier to maybe get a lot of Toa, because of that orb change that Megumin has, and blues are not nerfed until, like, turn 4 or 5. So if we get a good hand of blues, we can certainly send it like that. But yeah, speak of the devil. All right, cool beans. Let's get some instant damage in there too, just for funsies. Yes, I like this. All right, that gets us double Toa. I mean, we would have had a lot more, but oh well. Okay, come on, stop with the counters. You've been countering me literally this entire session. This is like the 3rd run. Okay, oh, that is really good right there. Okay, so let's bring Shinsha in for Benimaru since he has no orbs. It doesn't affect anything. We'll use Shinsha's orange buff, so extra damage and the protection gauge, which is good. And then we'll use Toa, who has the 40% protection gauge charm on. Now we have 4 oranges for Megumin. This might get her EX ult. It does. Perfect. So you know what we're going to do? We're actually going to use the weakness damage buff as well. So you know what? Get out of here. Because that is going to last for 2 turns. So if we get the EX ult now, then we can just send her away. And when we're ready to use everything else, we can. Perfect. Perfect. So on turn 5, we're going to nuke. Because I'm going to use next turn to get a double protector. And then we have enough points to use everything. Oh my god! What is this? What is this? Alright, well, our patience paid off, apparently. So, how much do we need? So we need 80 plus 55, so that's 135 plus another 25, so 135, 140, 160 points. So yeah, we need double and we need max. So, yep, the only thing we can do now is swap you out, and then we'll send these 4. And we're gonna look real nice next turn. Actually, you know what? We can keep the weakness damage buff on you as well. Yes, I like this. This worked out quite well. All right. So turn 5, we have the EX ult with Megumin. We're gonna have enough points to use all the buffs. All right, the blues are nerfed on going into turn 5. Okay, good to know. Not that it matters, because he's going to die here. So, we will use the alt buff now, because it will hit them in the back. We're up to 27% attack on Shinsha, which is cool, whoop-de-doo. But we're not using her for literally anything but her 2 skills. So, we'll use this. Attack buff goes up, but she's also buffing the alts in the back. So now you can come in for Shinsha, and then you can come in for Benimaru. Perfect. And then we'll use the fire buff. And then, yes. Awesome. We'll use double Toa, give us another 80 points, and then we can use the alt buff as well. And we're going to be looking real nice here. Real nice. So, alt buff. Sure, why not? This will help Shizu do more damage, I guess. So we have the fire resistance down now by 30%. And then Megumin has the 80 plus the 50%, so 130% alt damage right there, plus the fire buff, plus the weakness damage buff. So, I mean, yeah, and her personal attack buff as well, and plus pierce if we happen to pierce. So, I think we'll go ahead and send these, and then we'll send Megumin last because we don't want her to stun herself. 16k on the normal orb isn't too much. 44. Oh, we pierced there, so that's cool. Natural pierce. We'll watch Santa Shizu. I don't see her ult too often anymore. Dropping presents on unsuspecting children. present onslaught. Alright. So 73k, cool, whatever. But Megumine's gonna do some hefty damage here. Alright. I want to say, like, at least 350? At least? Oh, just shy. 300, just about 300k. Obviously it's enough, right? Obviously it's enough fucking damage. She's not a physical unit, so she's not benefiting from Clayman's natural weakness, but if she was physical, we wouldn't get that extra 50% magic, or EX buff. So, I mean, Shinsha does work as a DPS on her own team, on an orange-focused team, yes. She can work as a support unit for other teams if you don't have really any other options to bring. Like, we could have brought, EX Rimuru or something instead, but Shinsha's alt buff, because it's so cheap, allows us to use it alongside a number of other, hefty buffs here. 55, 55, 80. We just need a little bit of RNG for it to work. But, I mean, she's not a bad unit. She did show off a lot of her usage here. The orange buffs, the alt buff, and it did help Megumine do more damage. And that's really the thing that we want her to do, is either do a lot of damage herself or help someone else do a lot of damage. So overall, like, I'm not upset with this Shinsha at all, but the limitations of her skill set and her team builds do lend me into thinking that she will not be very relevant after this month moving forward, unless it's for a random Jubilee somewhere down the line. But, Magic, EX, double condition right there. She's buffing oranges, which we know, based on historical facts of 2 years of gameplay, we do not get a lot of orange metas. So I don't see her staying relevant too long, which is the unfortunate thing, because she's a decent unit with a good trait if I had her duped. But let me know what you guys think about Shinsha's first showcase. Are you impressed with her? Do you wish she did something else? Let me know your thoughts, but that's it from me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.